Welcome to the Explainer. Close your eyes for a second. Picture the starting grid, the roar of 20 V8 engines vibrating through the grandstands, the smell of burning rubber and high-octane fuel hanging thick in the air. For a brief, shining moment, India was at the absolute pinnacle of global motorsport. And then, well, as quickly as the lights went out, it was over. But right now, behind closed doors, there is a massive, high-stakes master plan unfolding to bring Formula One back to the subcontinent. I mean, you can practically hear it, right? Red Bull just absolutely charging down the asphalt through the hazy skies at the Buddha International Circuit. This wasn't a simulation, guys. This was the visceral, high-octane reality of Formula One cars tearing across Indian soil. It was a spectacle that literally demanded the world's attention. But man, the track has been dead quiet for over a decade now. So let's dive right into this, because this is the billion-dollar question on literally every motorsport fan's mind. Can India actually pull off a Formula One comeback? After a decade of complete silence, the Indian government has just formed a brand new, highly focused task force with one singular, wildly ambitious objective: bringing the Grand Prix back by 2028. But to figure out if they can actually win this race, we've got to look at why they crashed out in the first place. Part 1. The F1 India Mirage. A dream cut short. You have to remember the hype back then was just astronomical, and the execution was spectacular. I'm talking about the inaugural 2011 Indian Grand Prix debut out in Greater Noida. This was a massive, purpose-built, state-of-the-art facility. Almost immediately, the Buddha International Circuit became an absolute favorite. The drivers loved the fast-flowing layout, and the fans, they packed the stands, totally desperate for a taste of world-class racing. And man, did it deliver. We had legends like Sebastian Vettel literally bowing to his car on the start-finish straight. It wasn't just a race, It was an international statement. It brought this level of prestige and a massive global spotlight that temporarily elevated India's entire sporting landscape right to the very top tier. But here's the kicker. Just three short years. 2011, 2012, and 2013. That is exactly how long this dream lasted before the whole operation just stalled out and completely crashed off the calendar. Which brings us to part 2. Why F1 hit the brakes. The tax trap. So why did they hit the brakes so hard? Well, it definitely wasn't the track, and it sure wasn't the fans. Formula One packed up and left because of severe, unresolved tax disputes. The local government at the time basically classified F1 not as a sport, but as entertainment, and they slapped on these crippling entertainment taxes. Add in the ridiculously heavy customs duties just to bring the multi-million-dollar cars and gear into the country, the legal gridlock became way too much. F1 just threw their hands up and left. Part 3. The billion-dollar pit stop. The Adani era. But here's the thing. The track never actually went away. And right now, there are some very gritty, behind-the-scenes corporate maneuvers happening to fire those engines back up. We are talking about a massive financial shift here. The Adani Group, which is one of the largest conglomerates on the planet, is acquiring Jai Prakash Associates, the original developers of the Buddha circuit. This signals some serious, heavyweight corporate backing stepping into the arena. And this right here perfectly illustrates that this is way more than just symbolic political talk. Reports are actually indicating that Conor Adani is personally invested and interested in bringing Formula One back to India. When you have that kind of direct high-level corporate ambition driving the comeback, the entire conversation shifts from a maybe to a how do we get this done? And hey, the feeling is completely mutual. Formula One management is officially open to a return. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has gone on the record calling India an important market. And why wouldn't he? The fan base there has absolutely exploded. Thanks to streaming platforms, social media, and the crazy success of Netflix's Drive to Survive, there is a brand new, highly engaged, and very young Indian fan base that is quite literally starving for a home race. Part 4. Fixing the tax trap. The government task force. Look, ambition and a ton of fans are great, but they don't mean much if those old roadblocks are still sitting on the track. To avoid the absolute disaster of 2013, a strategic push is being led by the Union Sports Minister alongside the FMSCI. And they aren't just forming committees to talk. They've built a special lean task force. Their specific mandate: solve the tax nightmare, simplify the customs process, and smash through that legal gridlock. Oh, and they have a strict 3-month deadline to submit recommendations, focusing heavily on economic impact and investment this time around. Now, if anyone out there was doubting if the circuit was still viable, those doubts got erased pretty quickly. MotoGP actually made its successful debut at this very same circuit. That event proved two huge things. The track infrastructure still completely holds up to world-class standards, and the Indian motorsport audience will absolutely show up and buy tickets. That success basically poured high-octane fuel all over this F1 revival push. Part 5. Green light for 2028, the final lap. So, the strategy is set. The corporate backing is aligning, and the government is finally clearing the track. The hype is definitely building, guys, but you have to understand, this is about so much more than just a single race weekend. This is a highly calculated move to position India as a genuine, undeniable global motorsport destination. They want this to act as a massive catalyst to boost their domestic automotive and tech industries. And here is the magic number, 2028. That's the official government target. Interestingly, they actually shifted this slightly from an earlier 2027 ambition, which, honestly, that tells me they're taking a much more measured approach to make sure the foundation is absolutely rock solid this time. But, okay, let's do a quick reality check here. While the government is aggressively pushing for 2028, India's own Motorsport Federation, the FMSCI, is projecting a slightly more cautious estimate of 2030. Why the disconnect? Well, Formula One standards are completely unforgiving. Local promoters have to meet these incredibly strict, constantly evolving global benchmarks for track safety, paddock facilities, logistics, the whole shebang. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Still, you absolutely cannot deny the momentum we're seeing right now. We are looking at a very, very real possibility of closing a massive 15-year gap. Imagine the return of an F1 car bearing the Indian colors, tearing it up in front of a home crowd that has grown exponentially since 2013. The stakes are immense, but for the first time in a decade, the pieces, corporate, governmental, and cultural, they are actually starting to align on the grid. So, I'm throwing this over to you guys. We've seen the master plan. We've seen the heavyweight players stepping up. But, history definitely has a way of repeating itself in the boardroom. Will Formula One truly return to India by 2028? Or is this government task force just another false start? Drop your thoughts, debate it out, and let me know your predictions down in the comments. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.